When things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the hard times, stay passionate through the lows. Find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Monday's Monday Assessment by the view from the Medway Fancast in partnership with the Gillingham FC Supporters Club, and now delighted to be sponsored by Snodhurst Used Cars and Service Station. Another defeat at the weekend at home to Notts County. We were positive. Are there positives to take, really? Did we have a bit more heart? What were people's thoughts on a said incident that we will get onto later? I'm sure we will have more clarity by the end of this evening. All we know is there were no own goals. You know, those things that don't actually count. So I am joined this evening by Warren. I am joined by James and Luke, teaching of Luke's 11 fame from the German Gills and a key contributor to Gills in the Blood. So, boys, how are we this evening?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Guys,
So we're gonna change it up a little bit tonight because I thought that maybe there'd be a little bit of activity on different fronts this evening, but the Views news will now be halfway through the show, so we will get straight on to the county facts. So Notts County were founded in 1862. The oldest professional association football club in the world. Notts County were... Oh, Luke's gone already. Jesus
I'm
Christ.
back. I'm just turning the light off to get off the glare. Sorry. Sorry.
Notts County were one of 12 to found the Football League in 1888. And Notts County have played at Meadow Lane since 1910. So we get straight on to our lineup. We had Glenn Morris in goal. We had a back four of Shad, Max, Sab, Gale, and Romeo Hutton. A middle three of Nelson Kambene, Robbie McKenzie, Amani Little. We then had Asher Agbanoni on the left and Jimmy J. Morgan on the right, and Elliot Nevitt up front on his own. We then had a bench of Jack Nolan, Aaron Rowe, Jake Turner, Joe Bode, Jaden Clark, Max Clark, and Bradley Dack. And we lined up pretty much how this is. And I will apologise for these because I'm told that we are getting these things. So, yeah, boys, we will just jump onto that. So, Luke, I'll start with you, mate. And what were your thoughts on the lineup on Saturday?
To be honest, I was a little bit disappointed that Joe Bode didn't get a start after Tuesday night. Also, I couldn't understand why Morgan... I looked at it and I thought it was going to be a 4-4-2 diamond. Obviously, we quickly worked it out. It wasn't. It was a 4-5-1. You've obviously got Morgan that has been brought in as a striker and got left out on the right wing, which I don't think worked. And then Nevitt started again. But it was... I think the back four obviously picked itself again after Tuesday night. The midfield, it was just the wingers and going one up top with Nevitt, who's been... I do feel slightly sorry for him because he's been isolated all season. And I thought bringing in Morgan was for him to play next to him, but clearly that wasn't the case. But very different to what I thought it was going to be. But we expect the unexpected as Gills fans at the moment, don't we? To what we're getting from week by week. So, yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't go with Joe up front because, as you say, when he came on, he offers us something completely different, which Nevitt doesn't, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So Warren, we'll have to talk about the Morgan being picked on the right hand side. For me, it was a bit of a strange decision considering he was signed as a striker. He comes in from Chelsea. They brought him from Southampton for £6 million, and then he's playing on the right wing. It just seems a little bit strange, mate, doesn't it?
It was a terrible decision. He hasn't got pace to beat players. He's all about movement in the box. You could see that when he missed that chance early on in the game when it was 0-0, when the ball came across from, I think it's from Agbinoni, and he tried to get on the end of it. He just missed it by inches. Playing on the right wing, really. What was Coleman thinking?
Yeah.
What was he thinking? I just don't get it. And looking at the bench, right, after Tuesday, and I agree with Luke, how Bodie didn't start is beyond me. Tuesday, it was a right handful for Grimsby's defenders.
Yeah.
Right? He competed with everything. I'm not saying Never didn't compete, and I'm not saying that Never didn't try, because he did on Saturday, right? And he put in a proper shift. But Bodie just, on Tuesday, he offered that little bit of something extra up front, right? Where he made life difficult for defenders. Now, if you put somebody playing off him and he's making life difficult, you might actually score a goal. But we play this. I really don't get the tactics in this league. I don't, honestly. Play 4-4-2. Let's get balls wide. Let's get them in the box. Let's have two players in the box trying to get on the end of it with either Little or Mackenzie or whatever 2 out of 3 you pick, right? Trying to support him behind. That's the way you get out of this league. I'm sorry. That lineup was rubbish.
Well, I just want to let everyone know that apparently we haven't gone live on X tonight. That's fun. So if you haven't, then please go over to the YouTube channel and watch it there. I'm just popping a post up now. I'm not being ignorant. Just popping a post up now on X with the link to YouTube, which is quite strange because I thought everything was all right earlier. So, yeah, anyway, James, what were your thoughts on the lineup, mate?
Same as the other two. Square pegs in round holes as far as I'm concerned. Luke's absolutely spot on, as is Warren. You've got a £6 million player who's clearly got something about him as a central striker, and he's stuck him on the wing. I mean, what an insult to the lad. And to everybody else who is in his development, who's brought him through.
Jaden Clark.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a complete Horlicks of a decision. It really is. He's stuck a young lad out there. What's he expecting him to do? He's a striker. Don't play him on the wing. And he quite clearly showed after a few minutes he was nearly on the end of a really good move, really, really close to opening the scoring. He looked dangerous against Tranmere, and he deserved his start. All right, Nevitt did okay on Saturday. He was fine, but the guy scored 1 goal this season. Why is he first pick? To me, it's easy. You put Agbinoni on one wing. If you want to go with that formation, stick Jaden Clark on the other wing and put Morgan up the middle. Or go 4-4-2. We brought Coleman in as a steady in hand, and for me, so far, he's been anything but.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with everyone. Really, it wasn't a great. I mean, we'll get straight on to the overview, really, and I think for the first 15-20 minutes we were good. Then 3 minutes of madness, really, and they're 2-0 up. We fell apart the rest of the first half, didn't we, really, Warren? And then in the second half, it was much improved.
Yeah,
if we can say that, I guess.
I was actually entertained by the game as a whole. I thought the game was quite entertaining and it had quite a lot going on. Different little battles between players. We huffed and puffed again, but did we really blow any houses down? No. We tried, yes. there was effort there, yes, but quality we're missing dreadfully.
Mm.
What are we ever creating from midfield? I don't get it. Right? Every other team in the league, they've got players in midfield that are passing the ball through to forward players, and they're doing something with it. Right? We're faffing around. Right? And when we do get a chance, we don't release it quick enough for people making a run. So the next time that person gets the ball, we don't make any runs. And it goes back and it goes sideways and it's poor and it's just, I can't see any spark in that side that is going to get either the crowd going or other players going.
Mm-hmm.
Playing in the formation that we're playing at the moment. I just don't know what the answer is. I'm sorry, but I can try and say what I think the answer is. But unfortunately, we won't know what's going on in that dressing room. But there's no togetherness there.
There's definitely not.
You just look at Bodie when he got involved in the punch-up in the corner, right? If that had been a Pulis team, Jim Stanhard would have been up there from being in goal, right, getting involved, right? How many went over? 3, 4 players to help Bodie out? Even then it was a bit airy-fairy, faffy. I just don't see anything within this team. I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Luke, I think it's quite telling, isn't it, when you've got players that are half. I mean, we will get on to one incident when we've done our overview, I guess. But when you've got 3 or 4 players that are trying and the rest aren't, you can't really do anything. And for the players that are interested to be, like Sam Gale, for example, like it's quite telling, really, when you've got him and Joe Bode are possibly 2 of the only 4 I could make sense of on Saturday that actually care. So what were your thoughts on the game overall and also like the state of the team as well?
I think, like Warren said, first 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes were bright. Morris is a toe away from putting us 1-0 up. But the problem that we've got with this team, and we've had it all season, is that we can be good for 10 minutes a half. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the 35, we're absolutely subpar. If you look in the first half, the gap that was between their midfielders, so our strikers and midfielders when we're defending the ball, but then also attacking, they're so far away from each other, and that's why they was just completely overloading us, coming through, running through at will, and we just don't seem to stop anybody. I think Sam was unlucky with their second goal, and obviously David Goldrick pulls off an unreal finish. You can't really do anything about that. But it's, again, we have these spells in games. We don't take advantage. We don't create anything to take an advantage of. It's a lot of pass forward, back, around the middle, back again. And in the second half, they've got the handbrake up a little bit because they're 2-0 up. And I thought we played better in the second half, but the real catalyst for change for me, and John Coleman and Jimmy Bell were in the factory after the game, and I said this to John. I went, look what happened when Joe Bode kicked off with their player. The rain and wind went absolutely mental, and the atmosphere raised for me. Every kind of singing, getting behind the players, and guess what happened? We scored a goal. And I said to them, we don't get enough of the opportunities of Robbie McKenzie or Marnie Little. He did at the beginning of the season, but I think Little's gone well off the ball over the last 3 weeks. Yeah. Absolutely clattering somebody and putting him over the hoarding or over the advertising boards. I don't think we've had that once this season. Just a little bit of, a bit of fight, and the crowd react to that. And he said, "Oh, mate, you're right. he said, we're not creating these moments for us to. And I think Warren said this before in other shows that we should try and do better to create an atmosphere for them. But when they're creating nothing and not giving nothing, it's very hard to create that type of atmosphere for them. But I think if we'd have nicked a draw, I think it'd have been very harsh on Notts County, because I thought that was a terrific football team. The way they play football is everything that we can aspire to be, and I think they'll be in the top two that come into the season. But we just get beaten in our backyard again, and the worrying thing for me now is I could look at the next few games, and I think, where is that next win going to come from? Because I can't tell you where it's going to come from. And if we lose against Barrow and we lose against Carlisle, we are in serious, serious trouble. And a lot of people don't think we are. We're too good to be relegated. I'll tell you what, we ain't.
Yeah.
Because we're bottom, 22nd in the form table. Also, Joe Gabode was our first striker to score since Elliot Nevitt against Milton Keynes in nearly 2 months of football. And you're telling me that we're not in a relegation battle?
Yeah.
I think some people need to give their heads a wobble and realise the absolute state of what we're in at the minute, because we're banging trouble at the minute.
Yeah, James, I think we are, mate, to be fair. I mean, I said it a couple of weeks ago when we did a show when Don Ballard was on, and everyone was like, no, I don't think we are. But, 2-3 weeks on, a draw and 2 defeats on, I think we are, mate, don't you?
Yeah, I agree with absolutely everything Luke's just said. I think at the moment we're the frog in the cold water, and the water's heating up around us, and we don't realise how hot it's getting, because we are not too good to go down. We are not safe. We are not by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, there might be 2 sides better and worse than us. There might be, but at the moment it's hard to see who those sides are, because we are terrible. Let's make no bones about it. Notts County are a really good side. I thought they were the best side I saw last season at Priestfield. And they played really, really well again. But they were a really good side back in September when we went toe-to-toe with them in their backyard and we beat them. And we looked like we had fight. We looked like we had passion. We wanted it all over the pitch in that game. We had a little bit of luck, but you make your own luck. There was none of that on Saturday. Yes, it was better, but my goodness me, what a low bar we've set ourselves, haven't we? It's when you've got a couple of homegrown players who look good. And then you kind of say, oh, well, that was good, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, yeah. But what about the other 9? It was hopeless. It was men against boys. It really was. You've got players like Jatta, Jones, McGoldrick, and they're firing on all cylinders all the time. They wanted it so much. We just don't want it. We don't want it enough. And even if we did, I don't think we've got the ability. It's just... Everyone keeps saying, oh, this squad's got so much ability on paper. It's so... Is it? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Every single passage of our play is slow and ponderous. We've got no pace about us whatsoever. Every other team we seem to watch, I turn to my dad and I say, God, look the way they can pass the ball, the way they pass through us and round us. When do we ever do that? We don't. Our passes are always just behind the man or right to the man's feet when he's in full flow. There's never a forward motion to our play. And that to me is pretty basic stuff, isn't it, really, to be honest? And we don't seem to be able to do that. And I just do not understand. I don't envy John Coleman at all. Yes, I've just moaned about the bloke and said he's not really done much since he's come in, but I think someone said the other day, I don't think Prime Fergie could do a lot with this bunch, to be honest with you. I really don't.
No, I don't. And you know what? It's not just this season, though, is it really, Luke? It's been season after season for the last 5 or 6. Every player, every team that we play, it's just like, I wish we could look like that, but we just never do. It's just also rigid. It's also laboured. There's nothing that we really do that sets the world alight.
I think we've lost the fundamentals of our DNA of what Gillingham Football Club stands for, and that surprises me saying that when you've got a bloke who's an absolute Gillingham legend who now is heading up the recruitment. It's I know he's a Gillingham legend, but how he's still in a job is beyond me. Yeah. Absolutely beyond me. You look at the latest reports and you've got, Matt from Gills of the Blood Player Runner. We've averaged less than a goal in a game consecutively for the last 4 seasons. And yet these bright sparks today on deadline day, I thought, I know what we'll do, we'll sign a centre back. Like, Where
Luke.
does that thinking come from?
Luke,
Go on. Yeah.
I think we've just signed a centre half, Andy Smith from Hull. Peter O'Rourke, who I quite like on Twitter, and he's quite up with it. He's just said that 21 minutes ago, Gillingham have now agreed to deal for Hull defender Andy Smith on loan.
Centre back when we scored
Yeah.
25 goals in 27 league games.
So we might.
But then you could also then turn around and say, well, hang on a minute, we've just signed a £6 million striker from Chelsea that plays on the right wing.
He's never played senior football. I think it shows for me. I think it shows for me, and I put this about a bit. I'm worried with the lack of ambition when we go into our transfer strategy. I know we're not going to be the Wrexhams paying Jay Rodriguez 15 grand a week, reportedly what he's on. But where have we really, especially apart from the Gallantons when they first took over, when effectively they signed mid-table League Two players to get us out from the bottom three, which we did. And then when we tried to push them on to say these type of players are going to get us into a promotion place, they can't because they ain't good enough. What players have we really gone out under their stewardship? And I'm not going to slag them off completely, but I'm just saying, where's the ambition in our transfers? Because I don't think there is any.
I think the Gallantons have got ambition. They've just been massively badly advised. That's what I think. I really do.
Luke, when we signed Johnny Williams, we had a lot of Gillingham fan base absolutely creaming themselves over us signing him when they all stood in the dressing room and got introduced to him. Right, George Lapsley, when he signed, was over the moon. Right, Nicol, when he came from Crawley, we give it large. Naderson, right, everyone was happy. This year, Nevitt, everyone creamed themselves over Nevitt. Nolan, everyone loved him. Oh, what a great signing! Right,
I don't know who that was.
Right, Rowe, everyone said, yeah, what a good player. Look at the stats from last year. And
look at the stats beyond that, and that'll tell you it's a different story.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we all stood there at the start of the season thinking, oh, we've made some really good signings here, and on paper we're going to do well. We won our first 3-4 games, or didn't lose for the first 4 games, right? After the Notts County game, we was all like, this team's going somewhere, right? The players are still those same players that we all was interested in, but as I've said time and time again on this show and on Twitter, right, something went on in that dressing room. There's no togetherness in that dressing room at all, I'm afraid, right? And who's to blame for that? Is that the character of player that we've signed, which would be the due diligence wasn't done, because all I see Nevitt do is moan throughout a game. Little, everyone says he should be captain. All he does is lambast Ogie throughout the whole game. He don't pick on anyone else, right? All he does is shout and scream at Ogie. We've got Kumbai Armalall. Jesus Christ. You're going to need a prayer to get that bloke to play football. Right? You've got Rowe, who's frightened of tweaking his hamstring every 2 seconds.
He's not been given a fair chance. Rowe's not been given a fair chance.
Dak looks overweight.
He does. I said that on Saturday, actually.
Right. I can't see him doing a 10-yard sprint in 12 seconds, let alone a 100-yard sprint.
Dak was only ever here to back up his missus. That was the only reason he was ever here. It was nice and convenient for him. Nice part of the country, close to her for all her TV work. Legend coming home. That's all that ever was. It was never.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, James. But as football fans, right, we all loved it at the start of the season when we signed these players. The fact that they've turned out rubbish now and we're now blaming our recruitment.
But I think the recruitment's been the same for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but it says something about us as a club fan base that we can laud it when these players are signed at the start of the season, and then when they turn out to be crap, it's someone else's fault. We thought that was good, but they're not actually, so it's someone else's fault. So
what's breaking them then? What at Gills is making good players crap as soon as they join us?
I think there's something wrong in the dressing room. I think there's something seriously wrong. It happened last year. It got better during the summer. It then kicked off after the Barrow game, in my opinion. And I would like one of the players to come up, be totally honest, and tell us what's gone on. Right?
Yeah, they won't know.
Don't
They're
keep
not the type of
hiding
character.
behind your breakfast bar. Don't keep hiding behind managers who have been sacked. Right? Stand up. Come and tell the fans exactly what's happening and what's going on and why it's gone so crap. It happened last year and it's happened this year.
But they won't, because not only will they not do it because of the characters they are, they won't do it because the club won't allow them to do it.
No, because it's all wokey crap.
I just don't believe that even with Bonner's comments after Barrow, I just don't believe that footballers can be that precious that they just down tools and don't recover from it ever since. I just don't buy it. I don't buy
They're
it.
just prima donnas, mate. It's as simple as that. The hardline fact is they're prima donnas that believe in their own hype. Some of them, not all of them, they believe in their own hype. Therefore, they're then like, someone that's never played football professionally is not going to be able to tell me what I can do. That's kind of the judgment that I make of the whole Barrow situation.
I can make a similarity between when Gillingham signed Rod Wallace and Tommy Johnson, and we paid them really big money, and we probably got about 25 games between the pair of them, and they was on big money, big contracts for the time, and it was a mistake that Scally will openly admit to doing. He said he should never have done it because it broke the team up a little bit in the dressing room. Now, I think that where you've got some players out there, right, on really good money, I think money could be a real issue in the dressing room.
Yeah, but that argument falls down when you look at the two players who are probably on the least in the whole squad, Joe Bode and Sam Gale, are the two that are playing most for the shirt. So that argument doesn't wash for me.
But then they're Gillingham boys, aren't they? So they know what it's like. I mean, Sam said, I think it was on Friday or Thursday, when he said like it weighs heavy on his shirt, the badge weighs heavy on his chest, because it means everything to him. So could it be that? Could it be the fact that these players, as Warren said, are on such big money, and they don't get the club, whereas Sam Gale and Joe Bode maybe do.
And I think that's where we haven't, and I've said this for a very, very, very long time, is that we haven't bought the right type of characters. It's painful to even kind of, we're going over the same point, but fair play, we might have said at the beginning of the season, obviously looking at the supercomputer came out and gave it the one good season, so we have to sign them like we've done with the big signings that we've made this year, and they turned out to be crap. But we haven't got any leaders in that team. We've got Max Zamer, who's not a captain, arguing. I'd say the amount of arguing that I saw on Saturday between Little, OG, Little and Aimer. I don't think they like each other that much within the squad as well, like what Warren's alluded to. But I think there's a catalytic problem from the recruitment down to the players, and there needs to be something majorly overhauled in the summer, because we've been doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results, and nothing's changing. Yeah.
So when we will talk about Max Aimer quickly, and I'll start with you, James. Obviously, certain words were said to fans in the first half on Saturday. So what are your thoughts on said words, James? And do you think that it's correct to do so? Or do you think that, the way that I'll put it out there, I stand on the fence of, you're a professional football player. The operative word is professional, right? I don't care what fans do. You don't sit there and tell them to, So, James.
First of all, for me, Max is a bit of a very divisive figure amongst Gillingham fans, always has been. But you don't play 400 plus games for one club if you haven't got something about you. And I'll always respect Max for that, to be honest with you. He probably crossed a bit of a line on Saturday, I think. I agree with you that it was the wrong thing to do. But I do also think that it probably flies in the face of any criticism of him that says he doesn't care. Because if he didn't care, he'd just turn his back on the Raynham end and wander off up the pitch. But the fact that he's batted back at some criticism, as rightly or wrongly, showed that he does care. And, you know, if you or I in our professional lives have got thousands of people screaming at us that what you're doing is wrong, when all the thing that incited that incident was that he offered short for a goal kick, which was clearly an instruction from his manager. And then he gets lambasted for it. And he's pretty much the only Gills player that gets that kind of level of abuse, I think. And I've got sympathy for him. Don't get me wrong, Max he's not covered himself in glory, but he's also not been our worst player this season. And I feel a bit sorry for him, if I'm honest.
But I guess the caveat to that could also be, you know, Max doesn't care, and that proves that he cares. It could also mean that he doesn't care, so he's then going the other way and just being like, "Oh, do you know what? Fuck off." So yeah, Warren.
Right, no one's going to love me, in my opinion. Right, first and foremost, his customer service needs to be rectified. It's quite shocking if he actually said that. I have deep sympathy with Max. In my job, I get abused every day. 2 weeks ago, I got a clump, right, where I got a black eye, right, for doing my job. And I get called all the C words, whatever, day in, day out. And it's because people, since COVID, have become self-entitled.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Gillingham fans that think that since the Gallisons have come in, they're self-entitled to success because we've got a new owner instead of having Paul Scally, right? And I get sick of the abuse Max gets, right? He's had 2 bad games this year. I think it was Stevenage away where he got lambasted in the game after. But you look at the start of last season and the start of this season, when we kept clean sheets, we was winning games. Who was the centre half? Max Amer. Who was the captain under our last 3 managers? Max Amer. Now, Max Amer doesn't choose to be the captain. He's chosen. It's a choice from every single one of those managers, right? I get the point. He's near the end of his career, right? And he's probably not going to get a contract, or maybe not get a contract because there's probably better out there if we can get them. But at the start of the season, when Max was just hoofing it, everyone was having a go at him. When he then goes short and tries to play it out from the back, we're now having a go at him. Right? Why? What has he done wrong? I really can't say it. Right? He's been one of our most consistent defenders. Right? He's been better than Max Clark. He's been better than Ogie. He's shown more guts than Masterson. And he's far better than Hutton. And if you tell me that any one of them are above Max Amer in Player of the Year this year, then I'll give up. I really do. And their problems ain't at the back. They're up front, in the midfield.
That's why we signed another centre-back.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's a low bar all round, isn't it, Luke? I think maybe we'll talk about your thoughts on what he said to the fans in the Raynham end, because you sit there. So how did you see it?
To be fair, I didn't actually see it. I got told. I got the people I sat next to. So kind of said what had gone on. I give Max Amer a lot of stick. One, because I've had a few occasions with him, and I just think he doesn't. What's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't behave the way a captain should do off the pitch, especially within the things that I've experienced firsthand with him. Secondly, he's a bit of a scapegoat. I will give you that, and I think Warren is right in some of the stuff that he does. When anything does go wrong, he kind of always goes back to Max. And sometimes at the beginning of the season, I put a tweet out when he was, I can't remember what game it was, at home, and he was incredible, and he has got a good game in him. But I just think it is his whole demeanour and his attitude since it's gone a bit sour. Like when he told everyone, the Rainham Men the first time, to fuck off when there was booze. When the first lot, when it started getting quite toxic. On Saturday, to be fair to him, he has taken a lot of shit, and some of the things that people were saying about him that I heard weren't really acceptable. So I would probably lose my lid if that was me. But you are a captain of a professional football club, and I can see it from both angles. I'm gonna get splinters on my bum on this one, and I'm gonna sit on the fence and say you can't do it, but I understand why he's done it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So we will move on, seeing as we're talking about centre backs and we're talking about everything else. We'll move on to our man of the match. So I think it's quite resounding this week. Luke's gone for Sam Gale, James has gone for Sam Gale, Warren's gone for Sam Gale, and I've gone for Sam Gale. So I'll start with you, James. Your reasons and why.
Okay, I will caveat it by saying I didn't think he was amazing. We're talking about this low bar again, and I think he was the best of a very ordinary bunch. The fact that he cares so much gives him an extra point for me in any game, pretty much. He was unlucky for the second goal, but you could argue that he could have done a little bit more. But there's the negatives out of the way. Positives, yeah, he's a young lad. He's been thrust into a very, very difficult situation. He's not been put into a team that's playing well. He's been put into a team that's playing really badly, really off form. Difficulty from the terraces it must permeate through all the negativity. It has to, and for the lad to be playing at the level that he's playing, despite all that, and to speak so maturely and to be such an old head on young shoulders, and to put in a decent performance, that made him man of the match for me.
Yeah. So, Luke, I will go with you, mate, next, and your reasons for Sam Gale.
Probably similar reasons to James. Is one of the only ones that seems to really care at the moment. I thought his presser was absolutely fantastic. He didn't look out of place. I thought he was unlucky to actually get dropped out of the Wimbledon side when we played away at Wimbledon, because I thought Warren's not going to like this. I thought he was one of our best defenders that night over Max, and I think he's a real. At a minute when we haven't got many shining lights, him, Gabode are kind of the lights at the end of the tunnel. That I think Sam Gale will be a future captain at Gillingham. I think he's that good. And apart from a few mistakes, he could have done a little bit better with McGoldrick's second goal. But apart from that, I thought he defended superbly.
Yeah, Warren.
Right, so I went to Grimsby Tuesday, and it was between Joe Bodie and Sam Gale, who got man of the match for Tuesday, and I gave it to Bodie. And I think Sam Gale just missed out. The reason why I gave him man of the match on Saturday, he's a young lad, right? He's made a bit of a howler and a bit of a mess to allow McGoldrick in, right? Let's not get away from the fact that it was crap, right? But for a young lad, he put that in the back of his mind. He got on with the rest of the game, and after that, I thought it was quite immense. Now, other young players might have just thought, Jesus Christ, what have I done? And that they would have hid. Or they would have been taken off after 50 minutes because their head was so far between their knees, they wouldn't have been able to play. But Sam didn't, and he got his head up. He battled on. I thought he played a hell of a lot better second half. I thought he was a lot stronger, and the determination that he showed second half just won it for me. If Bodie had probably started, he might have got it, but he didn't, and Sam played 90 minutes, so that's the reason why I gave him it.
Yeah, so I think for me it was pretty much the same, but I mean, the mistake for McGoldrick's goal, I think, if you look at it back, for me, is Kambene is just not at all running to try and at least cover before the pass is then made. He's then made the tackle, but then he's trying to get up for the second tackle, and he just doesn't quite get there. The comments that he made the other night, we've spoken about previously. I just think that he's just got that he knows what it is to be a Gillingham fan. He knows what it is to be a Gillingham player. And I really think that he will take that bit between his teeth in the summer into next season. And it's just going to be brilliant for us. So well done to Sam. And can't really say much more than the fact that I think we can all say that he is a brilliant young player that we got on our hands. So we just move on to the views news. Bit different this week. So we are just going to touch on it. We were meant to be talking about loads of signings tonight, but as the club posted about our goal of the month, we've not really had much. So we touched on Grimsby's fan engagement, and Warren, we'll start with you because you wanted to talk about this, mate.
Yeah, so up at Grimsby, in this backstreet boozer, I get a message from Joe Comper saying that Shannon wants to come in and buy everyone a drink, every Gillingham fan a drink. He just then put a tweet out on X, and Gillingham fans have made their way at this pub. When Shannon arrived, it was quite funny because she looked at it and thought, what the hell have you brought me to? Fortunately, inside was an awful lot better. But the fact that she spent 45 minutes in the pub and she tried to make time for absolutely everybody, I don't think you can beat that, especially on a Tuesday night. You go up there. And then afterwards, after the game, we've gone back to the hotel and we're all sitting around having drinks and shots and goodness knows what else. Absolutely murdered me. But it made for a really good day out. And for the performance on the pitch, it was the first signs for me that we actually battled as a team. Why he changed that team to the extent that he did for Saturday is beyond me.
Yeah.
Why Nolan didn't play, because I thought he had a good game at Grimsby. Why Gabode didn't start, or Bodie didn't start up front, totally beyond me.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
We've kind of touched on the coming of age of Gale and Bode. But we'll talk about Bode because Gale, obviously, we've spoken about him at length recently. But Luke, like with Joe Bode, what do you think the future holds for him, really?
It's hard because we haven't got anyone who gets the fans off their seats like Joe Bode and potentially Jaden Clark.
Yeah,
potentially them two. If we had a strikers that were firing, that were meant to be like the Nevitts and Andrews and Wakeley and Ollie Hawkins, I would have sent him out on loan this season, and I would have sent him out on loan to a decent mid-table National League side ready for the season after.
Yeah.
I don't think he's 100% a starter yet, but I think he's very, very close. Just because of his physical strength. But it's a hard one. I think he should next season. I think it will either make him or break him for us next season, whether he kind of pushes on to where we think he's going to go. But I do think that a loan spell at a mid-table National League side probably would do him the world of good to come in back into League Two. But he has played well with us coming in, and he's our only real fire spark.
Yeah.
Which, as I said, we're relying on kids now, aren't we? So yeah.
Yeah, James, yourself?
Yeah, well, for me, Joe Bode is the only player we've got, and I include Jaden Clark in this as well. Is the only player we've got who runs at defenders with pace. He will commit defenders. He'll back himself to beat him in a foot race. His control's good. he's exciting. He's exciting to watch, and he's the only player we've got who's got any pace. Jaden Clark can take people on, but he doesn't take it on with the same level of pace that Bode does. So yeah, I think he's a very exciting player. I disagree with you, Luke, in that he absolutely would be starting for me. I think we're beyond now worrying about looking after players and treating them with kid gloves and stuff. If you're good enough, you play. And I think for me, he really is good enough. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think obviously he scored on Saturday. He's never convinced me as a centre forward. But I think Bonner stumbled upon him being a winger more by luck than judgment, and he seems to have made that spot his own for me. So yeah, for me, he'd be one of the first names on the team sheet on the wing.
Warren, your thoughts on Joe Bode?
I disagree with James. I think you should start down the middle. Whether that's alongside Nevitt or alongside Morgan, he just brings something different to the party. Don't get me wrong, he's not the finished article by any sense of the imagination, but he brings something different, and he brings a little bit of passion, right, which none of this team has shown for the last 12 weeks before he started getting involved. And I think that's testament to Gal and Bode that they've come in and they've shown that passion, which has been missing. Now, were they involved in the dressing room against Barrow? Probably not. Have they been involved with all the senior players arguing amongst themselves? Probably not. So they've kept themselves away from it. And I think because of that, they're now thriving where others we're looking at and hanging them out to dry. I think there's a footballer in there. I like Akinbaye was raw when he came to us.
Yeah.
Right. And look what sort of player he ended up. And I see very big similarities with him and Akinbaye.
I think he had more service though, didn't he? So Warren, I'm going to go with you again, mate, on Coleman's pressers, and I'll let you start this one off because I know it's another one again that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit concerned that it's full of negativity, and we're 3 games in, and you can see all the problems, but it's oh well, none of these players are any good, right? Surely, as a manager, you go into a new club, you've got a 6-month contract, you've got to make them players good. And no disrespect, them players haven't become bad overnight, right? Those good players when we signed them. I think we just shy away from the issues, and it drives me mad because of this wokey society that we live in. Bringing Donald Trump to this country, that's what I say.
Oh, God. Right. We're not getting into politics on the show, gentlemen. Right. I'm just going to make that perfectly clear.
Right. Let's get rid of it. Let's say it how it is. I'd have more respect for people if they said it how it is.
Yeah.
Rather than hiding behind company policy. And I've had this argument today with my boss at work. Right? It drives me mad. Why? Just say it how it is.
Okay. Right. Well, I'll say how it is on this. Like, I think Coleman came in, and he was very much like, I'm going to get rid of the players that aren't performing. I'm going to get rid of the players that don't want to do the hard work and the hard graft. And there has been absolutely no change. In the last 4 games, since he's been here, there's been no change. There's been no change in the back line, right? You can quite clearly see that Aimer isn't up for it. So why is he still one of the players that are still in there? I kind of see that there is no real change or real change in dynamic or anything to what Bonner did, right? So why come in and say that he's going to change things when what has actually changed, Luke? Sorry.
Not a lot. I think we pressed a little bit higher. We still don't create anything. Seem a little bit more hungry. And that's about it. if I'm being completely honest. Not a lot has changed, but what do you expect when these charlatans are still overpaid? And this is the fourth manager, well, if you include Keith Millen, 5 in the last 2 years that can't get his tune out of the majority of these. So
11.
what's the man expected to do?
Yeah.
I think I personally would like to see him get the job on a full-time basis next year. I said that to his face as well on Saturday, just because I feel that.
Is that before he brought you a pint?
No, I tried to buy him one. He wouldn't let me. I said, I think for the work that they've done at Accrington on a shoestring budget, and they got players running through brick walls for him. I think that might be the issue here, that players don't want to run through brick walls for them because they're on too much money.
Agree.
So I think that I would like to see us go less big time, more team players that are going to fight for each other. But we'll see. That's not my decision to make. But not a lot has changed. I don't expect much to change. This is why I'm quite perplexed on why for a man that we sacked, Bonner, to get to the playoffs in massive inverted commas, he hasn't backed him. I know this is quite an interesting debate across everyone, but in my opinion, you're relying on 2 teenage boys. Fair play, they come from a Premier League side, but they never played senior football before. I know some people make the argument, if you're old enough, you're good enough, but let's see. Nelson Kambeni, who's, I can't say he's had one good performance yet. But we sacked Bonner to get to the playoffs. And that brings my point back onto ambition, but that's in a different one. But yeah, I don't expect nothing to change much. I just hope, as we're going to move on in a minute too, is that there'll be 2 worse sides than us, but we're not that far away from being one of the worst 2 sides in that league.
So it kind of brings me on to James, the relegation battle, and why, mate?
Well, first of all, we are on the cusp of, I wouldn't say we're absolutely in it yet, but we are very much on the cusp of a relegation fight. If we lose the next 2 games, we are bang in trouble. At the moment, like Luke said earlier, I cannot see where a win is going to come from. We look like we're beaten psychologically before we kick off at the moment, and just by the very nature of going a goal down. I'm watching the game on Saturday, I said to him, what was on top of that first 15 minutes? I said to my dad, we've got to score here, otherwise it's if they score first, it's game over. And as soon as that goal went in, there was never ever going to be any other result. Even when we come back to 2-1, every other team you see in that situation, the team that's 2-1 up starts to fall back. They get nervous, they get pressed. You know, goal mouth scrambles, all that stuff. Did anything happen in that last 10 minutes? Not for me. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're banging trouble. We don't look like we can buy a goal. We've gone back to just before the Gallantons arrived. We had Scott Cashkett and Mikhail Mandron up front, and we didn't look like we could score in a brothel. And it's exactly the same now. I've got the same feeling. We just do not look we're going to score a goal. And I know
from that one night in Brentford.
Apart from that one night.
One night in Brentford.
We'd always have Brentford. But yeah, we are, make no bones about it, we're absolutely in trouble. There's no question in my mind whatsoever that we're in trouble. And just because on paper you're too good to go down, that does not mean a thing. If we don't grow some balls,
bollocks.
And start, all right, there you go. If we don't grow some bollocks and start putting some performances in and getting some more points on the board, we're going to be sucked right down into it.
Yeah, and why do you think that is?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. I genuinely have got no idea. I don't know what's gone on. As I said earlier, I don't buy that it went wrong in a Barrow game. I don't buy that. I just don't. I get that it's a theory. I just think the Gallantons have been badly advised. I think we're playing money ball when we really should be playing actual scouting of players. I don't think things are right at the recruitment level. I don't think Joe Compa's in the right role. And I just think we've got a lot of crap in that squad that doesn't want to be here, doesn't care, is picking up a wage. And when you put all those elements together, that probably gives you some reason why. Either that or Scally's cursed us. I'm not sure which. Is,
Probably. So, Warren, mate, I'll jump on to you before I go to Luke. Relegation battle and why?
The players don't care enough. Simple as. This team shouldn't be anywhere near the bottom, judging by looking at all the other teams that we played this year. Shouldn't be near the bottom, but we are. I can't see where the next win is going to come from. I think once we do win, if we can get a win very quickly, I can't see us getting in a relegation battle, because I think a win would do us the world of good. But we've had worse teams than this and gone down. We've had better teams than this and gone down. And anyone who thinks that it's going to be a foregone conclusion that we're going to stay up really need to get their head tested.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this earlier, Luke, didn't we, mate? We was talking on Messenger, and you said pretty much exactly what Warren just said there. So, your reasons.
So, as of tomorrow, if Morecambe win, we could be 6 points off the bottom two. But then we then go away to Barrow, away to Walsall, Crewe at home, Carlisle away, and then Fleetwood at home until we play Morecambe. I could see us not even getting 3 points out of them 5 or 6 games. And if we don't get a result, against Barrow, we don't get a result against Carlisle, and then if we don't constantly get a result against Morecambe, we could be in serious trouble. And that's a lot of travel. That's a lot, and for players that we've criticised, saying that they don't care and everything, that's a lot of travelling there and all. Yeah. Barrow, Carlisle, in a matter of what, 2 weeks. It's a lot of travelling for people that are too busy wishing they were driving up in their Maserati than on the team bus. Yeah. It is. I'm in another WhatsApp group with another lot of Gills fans, and they're like, "Oh, no, we're not going down. We're not going down." I'm like, you can't say that. No. Not with the last 12 games. What is it? We're 23rd in the form table. Continuing that vein over the next 12 games, we'll go down.
Yeah,
and that's why, again, it really, I don't understand what we've done in this transfer window. Brad come out in, I don't know if you guys attend the fans forum, where he said, we can get around FPL. There's ways you can get around it, and around financial fair play and get around it that way. We've been, and I don't know if it's going a little bit too far, but I feel like we've been sold a little bit of a pipe dream by maybe Joe, and a little bit over the last 6 months. The highest season tickets in a long time, more investment in on sponsorship. That's not going to continue if and fair play, we've invested heavily off the pitch, but on the pitch, questions to be asked. Are they being ill-advised? I think we all think the same thing, that they are being ill-advised. But I think they're quick enough to make changes with managers, but they're not quick enough to make changes with the people making the strings and pulling the strings above them, which in the recruitment department. Joe, I don't think Joe can shirk away from his responsibilities. He's still in charge of football. I think we come to another juncture in January where we've got more questions than what we have answers. And what direction is this club going in? Because it could be down. Yeah.
And it's a sorry state of affairs, isn't it, when we're actually having to sit here and talk about the football club that we all love in this manner, really. We don't want to do it. It's not because we don't love the club and we're attacking it. It's just the cold, hard facts are right there for all of us to see. And if we can see them, then why can't anyone else? Quite frankly. So anyway, guys, it's nearly Christmas. So I just thought I'd put a little bit of a brightener on that one before we move on. So as you all know, we are in partnership with the Gillingham FC Supporters Club. The details are there, gfcsc.co.uk. And we will just quickly move on to our prize draw. So if you don't know that we are now sponsored by Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station. The details are there for you on the screen. I've also put it on YouTube as a link so you can go onto their website should you need any of your car issues sorted out or you would like to buy one. So I'm just going to do the prize draw quickly. I have a pot behind me and I will close my eyes and pull one out. No funny business. It is literally just that. So I will just...
Oh, my name comes out.
Can't even reach the pot.
That'd be brilliant.
I'll just get one out.
My name.
So the winner is, drum roll please, Ross Coleman at Rossage7. So I will just quickly put that in the thing now. And I will tag him when we go on X because apparently our X isn't working. So, yeah. So well done, Ross. You have won the £50 Club Shop voucher and we will send it out to you, mate. So if you can just give me a message on X or somewhere and we can sort that out for you. So that's brilliant. So yeah, guys, if you need anything, then go to the guys at Snodhurst. So we'll move on quickly to a look ahead, and we're looking ahead to Barrow on Saturday. So the Surrey Legal Stadium. Barrow have lost, won, lost, and we've clearly lost, draw, lost. So I'll start with Warren on this one, mate. What are your thoughts? Because you're
we never
going.
win now. Luke was alluding to 5 games, and I'm looking at it. We never beat Fleetwood. We never win against Crewe.
Yeah.
Right? Barrow, we never do well. Carlisle's probably the only place where I've seen us get some good results in the past. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. I can't wait for the next month of football. And it's my birthday. 1 year off 60. Jesus, where did them years go? Roll on death, eh?
Oh God, it's such a bright and happy, positive pod tonight, isn't it? So, Luke, do you have any bad news for us this week? You know, you want to kill yourself or anything?
No, just depressing enough looking for our transfer strategy.
Yeah, it is bad. But so, what are your thoughts, mate, on Barrow?
Look, if we sign 3 players now between now and 11, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to go on Twitter and say, "I'm sorry, King Joe. I'm sorry, King."
No. Luke's claiming an assist. He's claiming an assist.
I'll take that. He's more like Sleepy Joe, is what I like to call him.
I like him. I don't think he does. I think he's got too many fingers and too many pies. But I quite like Joe.
No, I'm only messing. He's all right. It's just I don't think I don't think he's best supplied in the current position he's in. Should we say?
He's a fantastic commercial manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
You should stick to that, and then we should have a footballing. You look at the kind of. I know I try and compare us to Wrexham quite a lot, but you know the level of investment and stuff like that. If you look at Wrexham, they've had 2 or 3 MDs that have been from a footballing background. They chop and change quite a bit, but I think that's the level that we should be going down. We should be going down someone who has managed because we are a project of our magnitude, and someone that's been there and done it with a rebuild, and that's what I think that we should go down, not a salesman.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm just gonna say I think another draw maybe.
Barrow just signed Ben Whitfield back on loan as well, so you know he's going to score.
Right, so maybe we'll lose 1-0.
At least Clements isn't in charge. There we go. There is.
Oh yeah,
that's
you
right.
imagine it. We go up there and it's battered 5-1 by Clements.
I need a draw or a win to keep my £50 bet going with Stuart Lewis.
Don't. Luke and his bets with people. Jesus, I swear. I
Still,
messaged you the other day, and I was like, "You always play these bets." I don't think I'd ever bet with you because I'd always lose.
3 out of 3. Thank you.
3 out of 3.
Still waiting some money, but it's all right.
How many? I was gonna say how many have paid up?
2.5.
2.5. Right. So, boys, yeah, I think we're doing a good time tonight. I do apologise again. I don't know why. I did test it earlier a little bit, and it said that we could go on to X, but it says the premium account, whatever. So that's to do with someone else.
Kris,
But we will, yeah.
Maybe they programmed an AA meeting instead.
Oh, okay. Whew. Jesus, that was nasty. But yeah, so we're just gonna have to try and sort that out for next week. And I apologise, and we will get it sorted. Didn't realise it was going to be an issue because it did say that all of our features are still available. So anyway, guys, we will just quickly touch before we go. If you haven't, Facebook group, The View from the Medway, X at The View from TVFTM or The View from the Medway Fancast, and YouTube, which is going to be heavily reliant on tonight. So when we get off, boys, if you could just share the link for this show on there tonight instead, The View from the Medway Fancast. So I've been Kris. He's been Warren. He's been James. He's been Luke. Good night and up the Jills.